Hi, Claire. Lovely to see you.
Hi, Agustina. Hi, David. Hi, Joe. Hi, Anne-Marie.
Hi.
I know almost everyone here.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Do you mean the usual suspects? Hi, Bianca.
Hiya.
Who else is on? Hello, hello.
Just to let you know, David, Sean's ill, so we're not going to have any of those meetings this week. So I'll come back to you after my holiday, if that's okay.
Absolutely fine, yeah. And
Yeah.
just to make you aware, like I've said, I'm going to do this a few times. Just let everyone know it is being recorded.
Okay.
So let's, if okay with everyone, let's just wait 2 or 3 more minutes. The beauty of this is that it can be recorded and shared. We had approximately 100 people accepting, not expecting 100 people to join, but hopefully more than 10.
Agustina, I may just, at certain points, I may just mute the mic just in case there's any background noise.
Okay. Hi, Jolene.
Hiya, you okay?
Yes, very good. Thanks. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful, thank you. Halfway
Good,
through
good.
the week already, I can't believe it. Just to have 0 time lately. Everything is just going whizzing past 100 miles an hour.
Indeed. So, you know,
Just
wow.
waiting for
Yeah,
Paul. I know
exactly,
he has
right?
been in
We-
another
we-
meeting. See if I can have sight of him right now. He won't be too long though.
Is Paul joining?
He will be, yeah. He
That's
was
great.
just in
Good,
another
good.
meeting.
Sorry, I didn't catch his
just
name.
before.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
Great.
don't worry, it's fine. Just see if I can see. Doo-doo-doo. Yeah. I can't imagine it'll be too long, but I will I'll take notes anyway, guys, and then that way
Sure.
it's not,
sure.
you know, any bits
Also-
that he misses.
Yeah, we are recording as well, so I'm hoping that's fine. If everyone else or anyone else that couldn't join now, we will be sharing the recording. So just briefly for everyone joining just now, hi, thanks for joining. We are recording and we are starting in 1 minute.
Oh, jeez.
David.
You watch the phone will go mad in the next hour and don't know how to mute it exactly.
I might just mute you.
That's, well, let me see.
Okay, let me just briefly share my screen. Do you all see my screen?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Let me know, please. Everyone else, can you see my screen? Shall I start sharing again? Let me know, please. Did you see Dave, my screen?
Yeah, that popped up and then went back away again.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about now?
Got it now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah? Great. So I would suggest that we start, and if anyone else is joining, great. And also, as we were saying, we are recording, so we can also share the recording of this conversation. Firstly, thank you very, very much for joining us. And David and I are hosting this webinar to share our experience and passion of flooring, specifically carpetized for social housing. And we're very honored to have Jo Ellis joining us. Jo works in the strategic property planning team at Bromford, and she's going to share her experience from Bromford on working around providing flooring to their properties. The agenda that we have put together for today and hopefully covers the majority of what you are also interested, but hopefully we also have time to make it flexible on discussions. We're going to address the elephant in the room right away, which is around floor poverty, and we believe that it may sound a very single, straightforward problem, but actually is much more complex, as usual. But at the same time, there are great benefits that come from offering from having floor coverings in your properties. We believe that you want to do the right thing, and you would be doing it right away if it wasn't for probably certain barriers that you face in including flooring. And we would love to make some justice in exploring those. And we will be using Altair's report on the provision of floor coverings for social housing, drawing on their research on that. And we thought that is the right time to bring Jo to share her experience in Bromford and how they're going about flooring, which ultimately hopefully leads us to the last point, which is about ideas of how to overcome the barriers to include flooring in housing. So it'll be the three of us sharing this with you. My name is Agustina Memoli, and I'm the co-founder of Uplyfted. I've been around the flooring industry for a decade, and I've always been quite passionate about actually the social and the environmental potential of flooring, of how much impact flooring can have in a space, in people occupying spaces. And also I'm quite obsessed with the circular economy and the opportunity of keeping material circulating, and therefore why I felt that Uplyfted is a quite natural fit for to spend my working hours. So Dave, do you mind if we let Jo introduce herself next?
Absolutely.
Jo, it would be okay to just briefly...
Yes, sorry, was just sorting my mic and my mute button.
Please.
I wasn't but here I am. I'm Jo. I work for Bromford in the strategic property planning team. I'll say a bit more about what that is and what I do when we get to my slide in a bit.
Perfect. Thanks. And Dave?
Hello. Hello, I'm David Catton. I'm co-founder of Uplyfted. I've been working with end-of-life carpet since approximately 2012, specifically with carpet reuse since about 2018. And for the last year or so, Agustina and I have been working on Uplyfted, obviously specifically bringing floor into social housing. I am at the cold face of this, as it were. I get to see millions of square meters of these beautiful, carpet products go into landfill and not being reused, when I understand that there's so many, obviously, households in the UK that don't have flooring. And yeah, this is kind of our mission to make that a reality.
And unfortunately, we have the tyranny of time, and we don't have time to introduce everyone else in the group joining today. But hopefully, little by little, we can connect and get to know more of each other. So jumping back straight to flooring, we thought that it comes at no surprise that for this group that there's a growing focus on flooring provision within social housing. The FRC group and the End Furniture Poverty campaign research in 2016 how how a household can escape furniture poverty, identifying that carpets in living rooms and bedrooms is one of the essential items. Obviously, the Decent Home Standard is being reviewed and published. We hear that Welsh is finished. In England, coming along very soon. But we also see it in the press. A lot of conversations and sometimes anger and frustration and disappointment about the practices of flooring in social housing. And, oh, sorry. Now, we also recognize that registered providers are actually also at the same time facing a challenge where you need to do more with less. It's a context that there is a lot of challenges that you know better than anyone. So we appreciate that you have a lot of pressure around from the government and the setting of regulations of what is expected of you to achieve, and also expectations from your residents and also challenges that your residents are facing. And we appreciate that you are asked to do more with less. And then on top of all that, we are also asking you to think about flooring poverty. And we like to call it the lack of flooring vicious cycle. We believe that a resident with no flooring lives in a more noisy home, has increased energy cost, has poor air quality, and more risk of cold and damp homes. But at the same time, your property stock struggles, and it's affected by the lack of flooring, with increased risk of mold and damp, but also it's increased noise transmission between different neighbors in your properties, and obviously energy efficient homes. You're investing in making your homes more efficient, but without flooring, there's heat that is lost through the floor. Now, the lack of flooring, we also believe, has impacts on the housing association, the housing provider per se. There are going to be more noise complaints to manage. There are probably going to be higher tenancy turnover and an increase of hard-to-let properties, because unfortunately, that's how they look, how you see them on the slides. Bear with me in a rather convoluted way, but I promise I will walk you through this and will make a lot of sense to talk about what are the benefits instead of having floor coverings. If those are the challenges that we all face without floor coverings, what are the benefits? And this is a system perspective so that we can better understand the, oops, what is that time? There we go. This is a system perspective that can reveal the interconnection of a complex challenge, because again, flooring may seem quite straightforward, but is surely much more challenging. So I wanted to invite you to focus on everything that is within the red circle. So what happens? What happens when a property, a house has flooring? The house is warmer. Whoops, sorry. The property has better air quality. The property with flooring will have better acoustics or soundproofing, sound qualities. Now, a warmer home means less likelihood of damp and mold. A warmer home means less heating costs for your tenants, and also better living conditions. Air quality also means better living conditions for your tenants. And if the property has better acoustics, it also leads to less noise complaints. And we believe that less damp and mold, that's the heating cost, the living conditions, the noise complaints, they all lead to actually cost savings. So who would have said that offering carpet tiles actually can lead to such benefits? Now, I'd like to focus also for 1 second in another benefit around bringing flooring to your properties, which is more for your goals around achieving net zero. And Uplyfted, we believe in our like new carpet tiles, which means that they are not new and and they will contribute to less embodied carbon for your properties. A new carpet tile can have an impact of up to 625 kilograms of CO2, but a reused carpet tiles, like our new carpet tiles, have a reduction of carbon of up to 96%. This is a calculation and assessment done by our research partner, the Liverpool John Moores University, which translates in less embodied carbon for your properties. So there are some barriers actually to having flooring in the properties. Otherwise, surely you would be doing it. And we would love to draw on the Altair report commissioned by the Longley Foundation on setting the scene, the provision of floor coverings in social housing report. It's a thorough report. It's highly recommended. Now, we would love to focus on one particular part, which is what are the barriers? Why housing providers are not providing floor coverings? And we would love to bring your focus on the top three, which are the financial cost for the organization, the unnecessary delays to the void process, and the ongoing maintenance of floor coverings. So before addressing those barriers and how we believe that they could be overcome, I thought, Joe, this would be a great moment to bring you, now that we presented the problem, the benefits, and the barriers, for you to share with us the Bromford experience. So I have here next your slide. Let me know when you would like me to move to it.
Thank you. Yeah, you can go to the slide now. That's fine. Thank you, Agostina. I love the passion that you talk about this with. It's very inspiring. So I'm Jo, I'm from Bromford. Just a bit of context about Bromford and the team that I work in. So Bromford have got 45,000 properties, and we kind of go along the M5 corridor from up to Lichfield and down to Bristol. So we're quite spread out in terms of, I think we cover about 38 local authorities. So pretty big housing association. And obviously with the void turnover as well, which is where we started looking at carpets, and we build around 1,200 new homes a year. So quite a lot. This is quite a big consideration for us. In terms of my team, so I work in the strategic property planning team, and what we do is we look at all our stock, all those 45,000 homes, and we try to evaluate how our stock is performing. So we try to look at where we need to invest, where we might need to dispose if some properties just aren't working for customers or just not working for us anymore, and where we need to regenerate as well. As part of that, we also are really focused on bringing up standards as a whole. And that's where this piece of work has come about, around looking at our home standard and therefore flooring. So just on the left, that's our new strategy. We've just launched the new 23 to 27 strategy. It's largely the big shift around working as a place-based organisation and a move to scale. But one of our 8 big objectives is closing the home standard gap. And that is, we've noticed a big difference in customer satisfaction between when we give someone a brand new, shiny, lovely home as to when we give them one of our more older properties. And what we want to do is balance that investment to make sure that we're closing that gap as much as possible. So the next picture there, our home standard. We created our home standard with a load of customers and colleagues over the last year and a half. And the main things that customers told us is they just wanted to feel proud of their home. And so time and again, every time we'd meet with customers, it would ultimately come down to, I just want to feel proud of where I live. So we've got these 5 themes within our standard, and we wanted to just start with some pilots. One of the things that came up time and again for customers and colleagues who felt really passionately about it is flooring. So kind of saying, actually, you move someone in, and we do quite a good void standard, we paint it and that looks great, but customers just aren't able to afford flooring. And we're going in a year or 6 months later and there's still like kids crawling around on a concrete floor, and customers and colleagues don't feel great about that. So that was something we wanted to try as our one of our first pilots from our home standard. So we picked 11 properties, and we did that really just by working on a fixed time period. So we said, right, by April, we've got a bit of money to spend, and we want to have properties that are ready and customers that need it. And actually, I'm sure you'll all know that most customers need it at the moment. So we thought that was going to be a bit more of a barrier in terms of finding customers that would really benefit, but actually pretty much everyone who was due to move into a property really benefited from having flooring installed. So we worked with 11 customers, and we worked with Uplyfted, who absolutely bent over backwards to try and work with us to install carpets for customers. And sometimes we installed them after they'd moved in, which was really helpful for us. And we worked with a national carpet provider as well. And for us, that was just about evaluating the difference in terms of cost and quality, and getting that customer feedback, the colleague feedback, and looking at the learnings in terms of the process and impact on void time as well. So we did that in March and April. We've got a little bit of customer feedback. We've still got more to get. We want to get some more case studies from customers in terms of the difference it's made. I know that when I walked into that property that's in the picture, I walked in before and I walked in afterwards, and it just felt a world of difference having that flooring down. I think internally as well, when I've talked about carpet tiles, people have been kind of excited and interested, particularly with the sustainability element. But I think sometimes there's a bit of a reservation around, oh, does it look and feel a bit like an office? But actually walking into the property and looking and touching and feeling it, you can kind of tell how homely it really makes the place feel. So that was a real big tick for us. So yeah, like I said, we've trialed the carpet tiles now. We're getting that customer feedback in. Customers have told us that they wouldn't have been able to afford it if we didn't put it down for them. Customers have told us that it's made the place feel warmer, made it feel more like a home, and they think it's going to help them with the bills. Again, we've only done that from April, so we're going to follow up on all of this stuff. But yeah, so far a real big success. We're not finished, so we're just kind of pausing and relaunching our home standard project off the back of the new strategy. But as part of that, we want to do some further pilots, particularly looking at new homes, and again, maybe doing a bit of a show home and getting people in to look and see and touch and feel and go, what does it feel like to have these carpet tiles down? Yeah, so that's where we're going to go with it next. I think that's everything I wanted to cover, unless there's any questions around that.
I just press next to your next slide. Sorry, Joe, I didn't realize to do it before. Don't know if you want to add anything on this one.
Okay, so yes, I was just talking about the process. I think I've covered it in terms of impact on the void time. It was quite helpful because we're able to put the carpet tiles in when customers already moved in. Customer and colleague feedback was really positive, and those measures. So we've done some initial measures around, yeah, customers really liked it, but actually, what are those long-term measures? We're not able to kind of evaluate that just yet in terms of has it impacted on arrears, or has it made customers stay for longer? And we're going to go follow up and do some case studies with customers now. So yeah, not done and don't have all the answers by all means, but just we really wanted to get on and kind of see what would work from a process point of view.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Okay. Great. Thanks for that, Joe.
You're welcome.
So briefly reflecting on what we've been discussing so far about actually flooring poverty being a more multifaceted problem, and what are the benefits of actually offering flooring. Also, we discussed so far what are the barriers of why this has not been done so far. And we now hear Joe's experience and Bronfer experience with flooring. Now, Uplyfted has been connected with housing providers for a year now. We've had conversations, deep conversations with at least 50 already. And what we tend to hear a lot is about passionate colleagues like Joe, yet the challenge of managing and leading change inside an organization. And this is not only a challenge for the housing sector. Every big organization with a lot of responsibility, and in this case also very regulated and a lot of eyes on the sector, will face some challenges in managing change. So we thought that we would like to share all our learning so far on overcoming the barriers that the sector research and also our own conversations are expressing that the sector faces. So quoting back the main barriers from the Altair report on floor coverings in social housing, the main barrier that respondents quoted was the financial cost to the organization. What we would like to share is our learnings on potential cost savings that actually come from the provision of flooring. taking a research on the spotlight on damp and mold from the Housing Ombudsman, an average compensation per case where obviously the housing providers were found to have to give a compensation, but the average compensation per case was £554. Obviously, plus the cost of the remedial works for those properties. This was based on 222 cases. And obviously, I'm sharing a glimpse of information that definitely you are much more aware and understand the cost and the impact. But sometimes, in order to drive change internally, we need those hard figures, we need those cost savings to build a business case. And though there are many other benefits that come from not from providing flooring, definitely there is an element of heat retention and air quality that can be measured, and it will decrease the likelihood of damp and mold, but also it will save money to the housing association. Now, in terms of noise complaints, this may not be the most important variable in the news at the moment, maybe not the most important thing in your strategies or in your conversations in the office. Yet, again, taking research on the Housing Ombudsman, if we take an average cost per hour of colleagues managing complaints in housing providers, and if we take from their research that a complex case can take up to 135 hours, so managing noise complaints, quite onerous ones, can cost the housing provider more than £6,000. Now, installing an average property, installing our carpet tiles, which is a service of supply and feed, in an average property, it would cost approximately £650, saving more than £1,900. So it may not be one of the biggest problems you have in mind, but actually it might be a way of demonstrating how much potential savings there are to be made when actually offering flooring and overcoming the financial cost as a barrier. And last but not least, also from the Alter report, the 13 group, who is a housing association with approximately 35,000 properties that offer floor coverings in all their new lets. They experienced reduced rent areas. So just to the takeaway that we wanted to share from this slide is that the financial cost, there is an opportunity of making a case that there are going to be less cost on damp and mold management, less calls on noise complaints, and a potential impact on reducing the rent areas. Now, this was not the main barrier as well. That was the main barrier, actually. The second barrier was unnecessary delays to the void process. And we've heard that also in all our conversation with housing providers. Undoubtedly, the void process is something extremely important for you all, and where you have targets and where you are very focused on achieving your timing. There's a housing crisis in the country. No one wants to hold a void property. Now, there's a beauty of carpet tiles versus traditional carpets when it comes to the voids, to those voids properties. Carpet tiles can be installed while other works are being carried out without delaying the void period. And we have experience of that actually in one of the properties that we installed with Bromford. There were other trades carrying out work. There were more than 10 people in the property, and we could still install the carpet tiles. Carpet tiles lend themselves to be very adaptable to spaces and very easy to install. And not only in void, also in furnished and occupied properties. So carpet tiles will not delay the void process. The third biggest barrier was the ongoing maintenance of floor coverings. And again, Carpet tiles are very durable products, but also they are modular, which means that you don't need to change the whole installation in between tenancies. If an installation, if some carpet tiles have been affected, you just need to change those. So in the pictures, what you can see is actually a work in progress installation, right? And an end result. And the intention is to demonstrate that usually some carpet tiles are affected in use. The wear and tear is not the same in all the rooms and in all the installation. So it is a reduced challenge in terms of time and money when it comes to maintaining the flooring that you offer. So these are our experience and how we believe that our service and our products overcome the challenges of flooring. Our intention with this webinar was mostly not to talk about Uplyfted, but mostly to reflect together about the barriers and opportunities and the benefits of floor coverings in social housing. So the last slide before we open to the floor in some, if there are some questions, is about reflecting together, what actions can you take from your role and your organization to start providing flooring? It may sound that it doesn't depend on you, yet we can all have in our remit, in our role, an opportunity to push the boundary and to try to change those practices. I'm sure Joe can probably share how hard it is to create change in organization, but it starts with considering what actions you can take from your role to make your life a bit more easy. And we don't want to claim that it's super more easy, but just to try to help. We thought that we would bring some ideas on how to overcome these barriers. Drawing on the work of the End Poverty campaign on the blueprint to create furnished tenancies, we took the best from them that applies to flooring. And we are bringing some ideas of policies and procedures that may need to change in your organization if you're going to include flooring, or even if you need to introduce new policies and procedures. So if you're thinking about how to bring floral provisions as part of your offer, you may want to think about the tenancy agreement and understand the responsibilities of both your organization and the tenant when it comes to flooring. You may want to review your void processes just to include when and how you offer that you include the flooring in your times in your programs during the void period. You also may want to think about policies and processes in relation to replacing or broken or damaged flooring. And in the case of carpet tiles, as we were saying, it's a great fit for purpose not to have to change the whole installation. You may want to address the challenges of damage and theft. There may be a need to establish a position on the very unlikely event where flooring that you provide is stolen or damaged. Yet, I'd like to think in these moments in terms of proportion. How many out of 10, how many out of 100 are situations like this? However, it's important to have a position for whenever those come around. In terms of insurance, you may want to check if your organization has to update your insurance coverage, or maybe your existing insurance covers furnishing like flooring. And last but not least, you may want to determine the responsibility. Where does flooring reside in your organization? And it may be useful to keep an asset register of the properties with flooring. And this is not intended to be an exhaustive list, and I'm sure that Claire Donovan from End Furniture Poverty may have a lot more to add and share with her experience. What we wanted was to build from their research and focus on policies and procedures that you may need to think about in order to enable the change in your organization. If okay, this is a great moment to have an open discussion or to address any thoughts or questions that you may have. Would it be useful if I stop sharing my screen to see all of us? There we go. Oh, Claire, yeah, please.
Hi, Agostina. Hi, everyone. Yes, I know many of you on here, which is great to see you all. And that was a really useful presentation, Agostina, and really good to hear about your experiences, Joe. Do still want to talk to you about furnished tenancies, though. But just to sort of as a bit of a scene setter, for those of you who haven't seen it, our extensive furniture poverty report was published a few weeks ago, and it found that there are 1.2 million people living without flooring in the UK, and 61% of those are living in social housing. So I think that's a figure that should inspire us all into action. And the other sort of brief thing to mention is the provision of flooring, if you choose to go down that route, can actually be included as a furnished tenancy. So you could even just, I mean, obviously we wouldn't recommend this. We would like to see a full furniture package, but you could provide flooring as on its own as a furnished tenancy and recoup the cost through the service charge element of universal credit. So there are different options and different ways to provide flooring. So do have a look at our blueprint for furniture provision and social housing if you want any more sort of advice on that. But yeah, this is a really important topic. So thanks, Agostina and David.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Claire. Any other thoughts or questions or initial reactions for now?
Yeah, thanks, Agostina. I just wondered, just as a housekeeping note, really, could the presentations be shared with the group attendees for further information? Is that okay with everyone? Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Joe, you're mute, Joe. Yeah.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you. Also good to get the feedback as well from you, Joe, regarding some of the customer testimonials in terms of the look and the feel of the product. I think that's the fact that you kind of called out, does it feel like office flooring, or does it feel like a flooring option that would be suitable for a home? I think was helpful to hear from your perspective. It's something that we're exploring at the moment with Agostina and David. So thank you for your insight around that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good. Just give it a go. Just go and just try it and go and see and take some customers to look and feel. And yeah, it does just feel so much more homely than you'd think. And you know, I'm in an office now and I'm looking down at carpet tiles, but they're distinctly officey. So
sure, no, that's really helpful. On that, the other insight around the various benefits that this offer can afford. Thank you very much for for setting up the webinar and the various presentations. It was good. Thank you.
Pleasure, Paul. And yeah, excited to bring this group together. We had the pleasure of hearing your stories now for a year, and we thought that it was worth starting to have a conversation among all of us, because one of the beautiful things about the sector, you know, I come from 20 years of big corporate global companies, and one of the beauties of the housing sector in the UK is that actually all of you may sound competitors for an unknown observer, but all of you are in very similar aims. All of you have very similar challenge, and there is a collaboration spirit across organizations. So we thought, well, I mean, bringing all together in a webinar, I think it's something that you are already very used to doing, and we thought that might as well just try to discuss the challenges we all seem to face. Any other initial reactions?
No, I'm quite happy, you know, and quite positive about the presentation you've given. Claire, thank you for providing your insight in regards to the opportunity to to add as, you know, maybe a service charge for the universal credit. We know we do provide some furnished tenancies where they're required, so it's great to know that, you know, it's an achievable thing to sort of try and recoup some of that money back, because, you know, probably like yourselves, you know, we are a non-for-profit organisation, so we use that money to go back into our rebuilds and our existing property repairs. So that was really helpful. Thank you for adding that.
Great. Thanks, Jolene. Well, we kind of thought it was going to be quite efficient in terms of time, but this is exceeding my expectations. And those who know me, you know that I can speak. I feel quite tempted to steal 5 more minutes of your time, since we are going pretty well on time, and just briefly highlight a bit of the story of our products. I don't want to talk about Uplyfted per se and our amazing service. I will leave that for you all to hopefully try us out. But I wanted to highlight briefly a bit of the history. What's the story? What's the journey of our products? So you have been hearing about carpet tiles in these conversations so far, and you've heard Paul and Jolene and Joe talk about carpet tiles and our experience of having carpet tiles in offices. And you've heard us also say the words like new carpet tiles. So those are our products. There are products that have been built to last 15 years, 15. These are very durable products, built to last for a very long time in high traffic areas. But unfortunately, in the UK, 8 million meters square of those approximately end up in landfill yearly. And these are beautiful products that have been used in average 5 years, that have 10 more years to give, and they are designed with the most amazing materials and incredible design and incredible technology behind. Who would have said so? A carpet tile. And unfortunately, they are thrown to life after 5 years. At the same time, you all guys in the housing sector are facing the challenge of your customers needing floor coverings in living rooms and bedrooms. So we thought this is ridiculous. Those two problems should not be coexisting anymore. And we believe that we can bring the best carpet tiles that have been used, but not to the whole potential, and take them to housing providers, addressing both problems at once. David and we've mentioned in our introductions where we come from. I used to work for one of the biggest manufacturers of carpet tiles in the world, and especially the biggest in the UK. And David has been working on finding solutions for when those products are not used anymore the first time. So we both understand these products and the industry a lot, and we know how to make the most of those that actually are available to use again. We have an incredible operation focused on sorting, grading, and cleaning those products and finding a second home. The last thing that I would say is that we operate at scale. We have a UK-wide service. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because we have partnerships with 5 of the biggest manufacturers of these products in the world here in the UK, where we have a steady supply of these products. We don't have yet 8 million a year coming to us, but that's our aim. The 8 million meter squares of these products that go to landfill, they should come to us, and we should be able then to rehome them in housing where it's needed. And who says why would only be social housing? I'm not suggesting this is only social housing proof. Yet, at the moment is the focus, because it's the biggest challenge that you guys face. The lack of, not the biggest, but it's the biggest problem that we can address. So we want to focus where we are most needed in the short term. I timed myself. That was 4 minutes. I'm very proud of me.
Yeah, I just like to add that I think it's really interesting that systems map that the wonderful Sego Robinson's come up with, how flooring can meet so many factors and challenges within social housing. For me, that really that paints a picture to see how things are so interrelated, and how something that is seemingly so simple can have such a huge effect. And we can even see there from the actual image itself. Obviously, we've got the red circle there, which kind of pertains specifically to today's discussion. But there are actually so many external factors as well that actually flooring has a relationship with. And in terms of the actual product life cycle as well, we've done this again on our website, but it's we're actually, I'm sure many of you've seen, in terms of the product life cycle, carpet tiles being, class 33 wear rating, they're actually on average they last twice as long as traditional flooring. And Agostina and I, we've actually worked very hard on our floor design options, haven't we, on trying to make them, well, we believe that they do. They work very well within a domestic setting. We've they're absolutely fantastic products, and they do work complementary to our floor designs very well within the home.
Thank you. Well, we are all very tight on time. So unless there are any other more thoughts or questions, we may bring this to a closure, share the presentation, share the recording, and with you all. And we, last but not least, we are thinking of, we are actually planning already other webinars, and we have a wish list of topics to cover. But we wanted to ask you if there are any other topics or questions that you have that you would like us to address in our coming series. Let us know. Otherwise, it could be now or any time. But let us know so we can actually cover specifically what you would prefer to learn, and hopefully we can bring Jo back and she can share more feedback on the experience once customers give them more feedback, and also once other measures come along.
Very happy to.
Awesome, thank you. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for your time. Thank you, Anne-Marie Alter, for your report. Thank you, Claire, for all your work. Thanks for creating the conditions and the research and the information for us to be able to objectively claim the value of flooring in social housing. And thanks for all of you for joining. Thanks for your time and interest, and you'll surely hear from us very soon.
Thanks, Agostina.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
David.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Stop the ball.